Welcome to Connect In. Connect In is a weekly broadcast about the many ways to get out of our mind, back into our body, and back into our heart. And why? Why is this important? Because when we are led by the feelings and sensations in our body, hence our heart, we can be guided towards our truth, not into the linear projection of what our mind thinks we should or shouldn't be doing right now. So, in other words, when you're grounded and centered and sovereign in yourself, you can walk the path that you are meant to live and better able to control the eek, oh, no, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes to do X. So today I wanted to share a story with you that I think is a really great example of what can happen when we get out of our fear box, when we get out of this is who I am, this is how I have to do life, this is the way it's always been done kind of life. And back into trusting one's heart. So as some of you might know, I love to stand up paddle. And I love to stand up paddle in the ocean. Now I live right outside of Philadelphia, so I go to the Atlantic Ocean parallel to Philadelphia, Wildwood Crest, Cape May area. And part of it is because I spent some of my summers down there, so I know the water. Most importantly, over years of doing this, I know the dolphins, I know the pods, they come and say hi to me. Another story, maybe for later on. But I love to get out there, to get out past the breakers, to go, I don't know, quarter mile, half a mile offshore, something like that. But I just love the feel of the ocean. I love being in one with this moving, undulating being that we call ocean. I don't know. Am I afraid out there? Everybody always asks me that. No, I think in the beginning I was more afraid of crashing and burning coming in because it's a heavy 10-foot board that could drag me through the waves if needed. But the benefit of what it does for me far outweighs the possibility of getting hurt. Now, here's a really great example. It's like, you can get hurt, and I have been biffed. And those of you who surf or ever tried this know what I'm talking about. But how many times do we not do something in life because we're afraid about getting hurt? I mean, it's real, it's a valid conversation. But when you're in your head, things could amplify, like, it's like, what was it? I had a friend who had something on her hand, and I think it was probably a bug bite or something like that. But by the time she cascaded into, she thought she had some terrible skin disease. That's what the mind does. The mind unchecked escalates. The mind unchecked, when you're anxious or fearful, or and really, who isn't these days, can really escalate into a big eek, as I like to call it. So going out through the break, through the waves, can cascade the mind into a lot of fear. So people ask me if I'm afraid out there. Sometimes I'm afraid about coming in, less less more that I have a new muscle memory that says, you know how to come in on the waves and you're going to be safe. But anyway, I love being out there. I'm out there. I sing to the ocean, to the beings. And honestly, what it does um, is it helps get me connected to my body. The singing helps me open my heart. And I feel, believe it or not, on an undulating ocean, so centered and so calm and so in my power. In fact, you may have read that I truly navigate my life to be able to go and do this as much as possible in the summer, which means most of my friends know that they don't see me very much in the summer. Um, and is it selfish? Hell no. Hell no. Selfishness is another constraint of society and the mind. Because that time on the ocean for me is my medicine. It is the thing that will get me through the other 7 months of the year, 8 months of the year. It fills me up and it fills me up and gets me so in touch with my body. Nothing else can really do that. And you know, I got a lot of other practices and tools that I do that I share with you all. But that is the thing that gets me back to my truth. So it's just delightful. And I have been blessed over the past 12, 13 years of paddleboarding to make really extraordinary relationships with the dolphins, who I like to call my people, that will come to me, tip my board, bang, not tip it over, but tip their little nose on my board. This year, at one point, I had about 200 dolphins all around me, so close that I couldn't. I was. It was hard for me to get my paddle in the water and stroke. I've had a very young baby jump over my board. I mean, that baby still had baby stripes and a little bent fin. I've had some coming to me upside down, waving its belly at me. And that happens when my heart is open. If I'm out there and I am thinking, I got to get out there and I have to see the dolphins, connect with the dolphins, sing, you know, when I am in that have to, shoulda, woulda, coulda mind, no dolphins come by. Also, when I have my GoPro, no dolphins come by. Curious, right? It's that difference between allowing and doing. Anyway, so when I am in a heart centered space, and that doesn't mean that my heart has to be blown wide open, but I just have to be in my body, in my heart, centered and grounded, whether I'm undulating on the ocean or walking, right? When I'm in that state, amazing things happen. Now, amazing things in this story is meeting dolphins um, and meeting whales. But it could be that when you were in a wide open space that things flow to you, right? You know, when you are in your groove, life happens. Life happens the way you want it to happen. When you are trying, doing, you know, it feels like you're pushing life up a hill. I'm sure that you all listening to this have had an experience like that. So last week, I was walking on the beach with my dad, and my dad lives at the beach, so I went down to see him, and I wanted desperately to go out and paddle, but with Hurricane Ida coming up, I think, or there was a storm coming up, that the ocean was very rough and the waves were very big for me to bring a paddleboard through. So my dad and I were walking on the beach in the rain, which was kind of fun. And, we walk a couple miles, and then as we turn around, I start picking up trash because that is the civilized human thing to do, is to pick up our garbage, right? And, 3 or 4 trash bags later, uh, and yeah, the beach is actually cleaner than it's ever been. I find this, right? I don't know if you could see this clearly. There it is. It's just a rock with a hole, but it looks like a whale, right? And my dad and I are laughing. We're like, "Oh, you got a whale. Yay." Right? And so the next day I go out to the ocean, and it is gorgeous, gorgeous, pretty relatively flat, a little wavy, but nothing awful. And there are certain the light was beautiful. There were bait fish all over the place. It was just the life the ocean was full of life, and you can see it all around you. And I was okay, I'm going to stop the story for a minute. Sorry, I'm not very good at linear stories. Let's start again. 3 years ago, I was paddling, same area, and I was out in the ocean, and there were dolphins all around me, and I got really clear that my heart was shut down. So I really put out loud a request to the ocean, to the web of life, to help me open my heart. Really, just please help guide me to allowing my heart to open even more. And I put that out, and then I suddenly realized I was out too long. I didn't have water, blah, 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 blah. So I turned to go into the shore, and I was probably, I don't know, a little less than a half a mile out, right past the breakers were a whole bunch of lifeguards that were, practicing and exercising and doing what they do. And then between the beach and the break of the waves, as I turn around, this big black thing rises up out of the water, and I'm standing there in my paddleboard, like, and I thought, that's a whale. That's a whale that is in maybe 7, 10 feet of water. Like, how is this possible? And I'm standing out there, there's nobody near me, but I could see this pretty clearly. Maybe I was maybe a quarter mile out or something like that. Doesn't matter. Beach, whale, break, lifeguards, me. And all of a sudden I hear the lifeguards going, "Oh my God, that's a whale." And I'm like, so I am literally standing on my paddleboard watching this, and the whale kind of rises up, starts going this way, turns, and literally swims directly under my paddleboard. Now I'm standing there, and no, I was not scared. I was more in awe. So I'm watching this humpback come, and in those forever moments or sataris, I looked down and I could see the light and the water moving over its little nose bumps that humpbacks are known for. I'm just standing there, and the whale turns and looks at me. For me, that's kind of like God looking at me, touching me. And I then suddenly realize it has to flip, and I'm going to probably fall over, and I don't want to hurt it. Yeah, I know, me. So I lay flat on my belly, And I wait for it to flip, for it to reappear, for it to do anything. And it never does. And I am shaking and crying and just so filled up with the answer of please help open my heart. Now, okay, I needed a big old whale at that moment to kind of shake me out of my woe is me stupor. And as quickly as that experience, I quickly thought, that didn't happen. That so didn't happen. So I went in, and all of a sudden the lifeguards are like, "Oh my God, that whale," because we didn't know it was a humpback, "that whale went under your board." And I'm like, "Ah." So that was 3 years ago. And so, yes, every time I go out in the ocean, anytime after between July and August, I am in my heart always looking for a whale as well. And so on Sunday, we were walking on the beach and I got that little whale rock. And on Monday, I'm out in the ocean and I'm paddling, and it's just like a lovely day, not too windy, not too rough, not very many dolphin, curious. But out of the corner of my eye, more offshore, I see a black thing just floating in the water. And I thought, no way, no way. But of course, because of who I am and knowing my skills and abilities, I just went further offshore to where this black thing was floating. And I got within about 50 feet of it, and it was a whale resting. They do that, I guess. There was a lot of fish around, so maybe he just was in a bit of a food coma. I don't know. Um, but I was just standing there, and as I was present with this whale, the wind stilled, the water got like glass, sound got muffled. You know, that's what I think the Hindus call satori. But I got filled up with love. I mean, just being there, just being the witness, allowing my heart to witness this moment. And I was about 50 feet away, maybe more. Again, I don't have a good sense of distance, but I was just standing there watching it, and then it suddenly, softly blew out and just sunk. And I just waited. And again, I never saw it again. So then, of course, I'm like, oh my God, I saw the whale. So, of course, then I had to tell everybody I saw. But why I bring this up, this long story about miracles, being in the right place at the right time. Most importantly, I believe that these stories are concrete experiences of what it's like when we get out of our head and back into our body and heart. You know, I am aware that some of you are not living near an ocean, but perhaps you've had these experiences where you've just gotten so quiet and so content in yourself. And that's what I call deep happiness, is that feeling of contentment. But when you're so quiet and content, some beautiful thing shows up. A bird, a bird song, a breeze of wind that crosses across your face, an email from somebody you haven't expected, a phone call from somebody who shares something heartful with you. I believe that when in the in the concept of energy, or the experience of energy, what we resonate resonates back with us. So kind of like tuning forks. If you have ever seen them, you hit one, then you hit the other, and they come in sync with each other. I believe that when we are radiating a particular energy, that energy wants to meet us. Right? People that talk about abundance talk about that. If you believe that you have a fluid amount of cash flow, you will have a fluid amount of cash flow. People who talk about dating say, you know, resonate inside you, your best self, and that person will respond, right? So these are all energetic experiences of when you are being your brightest, best self, and you allow yourself to be led by your heart, miraculous things can happen. So we've all had these moments of amazingness. And I would so love for you to share with me in the comments below, what moments of amazingness have you experienced? And if you'd like to learn some tools to live a deeply heart-centered life, go over to my website, DaminiCelebrity.com, because all my programs are about allowing you the space to be your brightest, best self, to live a life that is heart-centered and deeply happy. So again, I leave you with the miracle of a little whale statue. And I'll see you next week.